John, you talked about how you got that Purple Heart and how close we came to losing you, and I'm glad that you were talking about that experience. I'm sure that it must be very difficult memory.
Yeah, I have to mention something here that is an interesting social phenomenon. That there are several Braintree residents, friends of mine, same age, who went to Vietnam, and for 20 years after we came home, we'd be playing basketball or football together, and not one of those men mentioned to anybody else that they had been in Vietnam and in combat.
Unbelievable.
Unfortunately, while we weren't talking about it, people who had gone over there and were cooks and clerks have been fabricating some incredible stories. Consequently, you ended up with stories like The Green Berets by John Wayne and Rambo films, and nobody, for many, many years, people didn't quite understand the Vietnam veterans. And recently, in the last 20 years now, more accurate portrayals are coming out. And that's one of the things I do. I do lectures, and I will only speak the truth. I could never lie, because to lie about an experience in Vietnam, especially in combat, is to desecrate the memory of the men who didn't come home.
Tell us more about the lectures that you do and the ones that you offer to people at libraries and other community.
I do lectures at libraries and colleges. At Boston College, the largest course at Boston College is 200 plus students. It's the history of the Vietnam War. It's been going on for like at least 7 years, because I've been lecturing there. I do a one-shot lecture there once a year. But the course is very popular. There's a lot of reading, but the professor, Seth Jacobs, is incredible. And if you could ever take that course, you would learn a lot more about Vietnam than you know now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you offer these lectures that you do. Now, do you bring in some music as well?
I bring in, well, you just mentioned that. My nephew put a video to that song,
yes.
Let's Ride.
Oh, it's excellent.
It's very nice.
And that's posted on my Facebook page.
Yeah. It's on YouTube or whatever,
Yes, it is on YouTube.
And your
that's
page,
right.
too.
Yeah.
It is, it's really good. I use it in every lecture. And I finish off the lecture, because you need to put a little sugar in the medicine, with my granddaughter teaching me the alphabet in a way that
they must
only she understands. And I like to end the lecture with that, because the lectures are very poignant and sometimes painful.
Now, if people might be interested in having you come, in addition to libraries, do you go to senior centers and places like that?
I do senior centers, libraries.
Schools.
I just did a library. I did Wilmington. I did Braintree. I did Tewksbury. I do a lot of libraries. I find the libraries a little bit better, because the older people question more. And the younger kids, even though you might have 200 plus students, you might not get a couple of questions. So.
Sure. Well, they may feel that they don't know enough to know what to ask.
I don't know what it is. It's a phenomenon to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about your book, because you also now have CD version of your book.
I do. I have an audio version of my book, and there'll be more audio books out soon. And the book is entitled, We Regret to Inform You. And that's a letter that began, especially during World War II, where the government would send letters to the parents who lost their sons. And my grandparents got that letter.
Oh, wow.
So my uncle was killed. He was a B-17 door gunner. So he died during World War II. My father served. My son is serving, my nephew is serving, and I always, I never wanted to be a soldier, but now that I look back after 7 years, it's kind of ironic that I didn't want to be a soldier, but it turns out to be one of the best jobs I ever did. I was asked to torture one time, to waterboard, and I refused. And then I just saw...
Good for you.
I just saw the Congress questioning, what's her name, the new CIA chief.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she just wouldn't say torturing or waterboarding was immoral. She just couldn't bring it She couldn't bring herself to say it, and I'm saying, well, that's just wrong.
Absolutely.
You can make waterboarding legal and torture legal. That doesn't make it right. It's immoral.
Here. Thank you, John.
The truth doesn't change. It's like Vietnam. When I first came back, the newspapers wouldn't print the fact that I was against the war. But 30 years later, the same newspaper printed that I called Vietnam the big lie, and they printed all the things I said negatively about the war. Wow. And it just shows that the truth never changed. The people's willingness to accept the truth about Vietnam changed.
Well said. Well said.
Same newspaper.
John, that's the first time you told us that story about refusing to torture people, and we thank you, we honor you, and you are a true American hero, and we thank you.
Well, I don't know if I'm a hero, but I know I walked.
Yes, you are.
I walked with heroes. I slept beside them, and I heard their stories.
Well, I'm going to do another song, and then I'm going to try and bring in one of those stories. And by the way, I have to say, John's book, We Regret to Inform You, I'm not much of a reader, okay? And I couldn't put it down. It really reads, it's like a personal diary. It's not just historical. It comes from the heart, and I highly recommend it. So and the CD version, I'm excited about that. We're looking forward to a copy of that.
You'll get one.
And it's also aired, I believe, on TIC, the Talking Information Center. I believe they're going to be airing it.
Well, I gave them a copy. We'll see what happens.
Good, good.